From that day, Sakshi, it took 15 or 16 months of struggling, going to different producers, standing outside their doors, going for auditions. तुम actor बन ही नहीं सकते. You can never make it. You should give up. You know, things like that. And I wanted to be a boxer because there were kids who were stronger than me, bigger than me, who bullied me. And I wanted to be able to fight back. My experience in love at that point was one where I felt very let down. I felt undervalued. I felt that what I had done and what I had given in my relationship versus just the respect, just the acknowledgement of that was missing. And that made me very cynical and bitter. I just wanted to have flings, just wanted to be in a casual story. And I went down that path. I explored that path, and the more the girls I dated, the more lonely I felt. Are you always like this? I said, what do you mean? She said, can't you just be? So I was just shocked. I said, what do you mean just be? She said, just be yourself. There's nobody watching, there are no cameras here.
Hi, I am Suresh Oberoi and you are watching Retro Gupshup. My guest today is an incredible actor who has not only survived but lived in this cutthroat industry for 20 years now. Many of his performances have left an indelible mark on people's hearts. Welcoming Vivek Oberoi. Welcome.
Wow, thank you so much, Sakshi. That's very, very sweet of you. Thank you. Yes, it is a cutthroat industry, and I think sometimes I've survived, sometimes I've thrived. Yeah. I've enjoyed my life here.
That's amazing. I have to start with your debut. Sure. Like the kind of debut that you had, not many people are, have been blessed to have such a big debut.
Sure.
But it was also very unconventional.
Correct.
It was an era of love stories.
Yeah.
So what made you choose Company as your first film?
So I don't know if I chose Company or Company chose me. I think now, in hindsight, in retrospect, vision is always 20/20. But at that time, everybody said I was making a big mistake. Because after I came back from New York after studying film, I did my masters, I came back. It was very typical that a second generation guy would have a launch, his father would launch him in a film, and it would be a showreel kind of film. Ki dekho mera beta ye bhi kar sakta hai, ye bhi kar sakta hai, ye bhi kar sakta hai. It was typically like that. And I was signed to do a film my father was producing by Abbas Mustan. Great directors, very big commercial successful directors, and they were writing the perfect hero launch for me. And while this was going on, I was having sleepless nights because my idol was always my dad. When he was following his dream to be an actor, out of more than 2 lakh entrants for FTII Pune, the Film and Television Institute of India, only 7 people got in as actors, and he was one of those 7.
Wow.
Right? And all on merit. कोई सिफारिश की चिट्ठी नहीं, कोई कुछ नहीं. And then from there, he built his career on his own terms,
Absolutely.
on his talent and merit. So somewhere 2 things were bothering me. One was that I wanted to make it on my own, on merit. And second was, I'd never taken a rupee from my dad since the age of 15. I was completely independent. And I didn't want my dad to put his lifetime's earnings, risking that on my career. So I literally had one of those mornings where we're a Punjabi household, so when I wake up in the morning, I do a peripana to my parents, take their blessings. It's a tradition in our family. So I literally went, he was having his morning cup of chai, and I went peripana and I sat down. And fathers, they know. He could see on my face only that there's something troubling me. He said, "Kya baat hai?" I said, "Main ye film nahi kar sakta, I can't do this film." And he was like, "Seriously?" I said, "No, can't do it. I'm going to struggle." He said, "Beta, but I struggled in my life to build a platform for you." And I said, "No, this struggle is a rite of passage. It is something that I need to prove to myself, not to the others. I need to prove that I have merit." From that day, Sakshi, it took 15 or 16 months of struggling, going to different producers, standing outside their doors, going for auditions, trying to get portfolio lekar. And I dropped my last name. I didn't want, to use my father's name. I wanted to be on my own merit. So I was Vivekanand everywhere. And I went through crazy amount of, kya bolte hain usko? People would be very personal in their rejection. Tum actor ban hi nahi sakte. You can never make it. You should give up. Things like that. And it was a very brutal time. It was a very difficult time. It was cutthroat, right? So at that time, because there was no social media, there was not, you wouldn't walk out and
Right.
post something and say, I went and met this producer and this is what he said to me. There was nothing like that. There was no social outrage.
Exactly.
So people got away with anything. So from there, my struggle started, my journey started. And I heard Ram Gopal Varma was making a film called Company. And I somehow got in a chance to meet him. He said, you don't look the part, you know, you're too polished, internationally educated, you're too conventional. I need gritty guy from the slums of Mumbai.
Rugged, yeah.
Bilkul.
Oh.
And then I said, sir, give me one moment. I won't meet you after 3 weeks. And he shrugged. He said, what's going to change in 3 weeks? But those 3 weeks, I changed myself. I wanted to do, because I'm such a big Ram Gopal Varma fan. I think he's one of the greatest filmmakers ever in Indian cinema. I went and lived in a slum to become Chandrakant Nagre.
Wow.
I stayed there. I observed how they eat, how they speak, how they have their morning ka chai, cutting kaise pakadte hain, bidi kaise phukte hain. I noticed all of those things and I took pictures of a day in the life of Chandu. Then on the day I got a chance, Mr. Varma is giving you 10 minutes to meet him. He was the busiest filmmaker in the industry at that time. I dressed up as Chandu because I said audition ka chance milega nahi milega pata nahi. So I dressed up as Chandu. I said I'll go there only to meet him as Chandu. I put a beedi in my mouth. I had a bunch of photographs in my hand. Chappal pehne, gande se kapde pehne, and I was, you know, in that rugged look, beard, mustache, everything. Opposite of my first meeting with him 3 weeks ago, जहाँ पे clean shaven, अच्छे से fancy कपड़े वपड़े पहन के गया था. I went opposite of that, and I remember walking into his office, you know, swaggering in, एकदम swag में enter किया. कुर्सी उर्सी खींची, sat there, you know, staring at him. He was staring back at me. I took all the photographs and I threw them on his table. I took a drag of the bead and I said, "Thopda kya dikhta hai? Photo dekh, photo." You know, so I just had that attitude of Chandu.
Yeah.
And he saw that, and 10 minutes later, अंदर तो दग हो रहा था. I was really nervous that, you know, well, am I going to get this film or not? And it's been 15-16 months of struggle. It can break you. It's really difficult. And at that time, he turned around and said, "You're my Chandu. You're doing this film." And that moment changed my life. But that was a gamble. That was a risk I had to take. You know, I had to go out there and say, ये करना ज़रूरी है.
It's very interesting that you brought this up, that you wanted to do something on your own. I was watching one of your father's interviews and he mentioned that, you know, because he loved you so much, he wanted to launch you. So he had knocked at many doors and there were times when he was not even entertained.
Yeah.
And that must be humiliating for an actor who has been working in this industry for so long and successfully.
Yeah.
How did that affect you as a son?
So my father, like me, because he came purely on merit and talent and not because of who he knew or who he networked with. So my father was not really much of a socializer. I mean, Suresh ji has done more than 350-400 films.
Yeah.
Across so many languages.
In fact, I was shocked when I heard ki, like, somebody who is of that caliber and that credibility, I mean, that's shameful if somebody is ignoring.
Yeah, so but that was the industry at that time. And I remember one thing, that my father as an actor still commands a lot of respect. But he didn't have a social circle. He didn't say, ये मेरा दोस्त है, मैं इसको phone कर दूंगा, मेरे बेटे को launch कर देगा. He didn't have that. And I didn't want him to face that humiliation either.
Right.
And I've also not have that. I mean, I don't belong to any lobby. I have friends across the industry, across multiple industries. South, North, East, West, everywhere. But I've never tried to take a favor from somebody for work. So I don't believe in that. I believe कि काम merit पे होना चाहिए, meritocracy होनी चाहिए. जिस दिन हमारी industry meritocracy हो जाएगी, उस दिन we will see an explosion of incredible talent. Because हिंदुस्तान में talent की कमी नहीं है. Talent is tremendous. Our problem is that we are still about who we know, network, किसकी सिफारिश. You know, that needs to change. We need to move towards a meritocracy.
Yeah, exactly. Because you have had such a huge journey, such a vast journey, and it's of course like any other person, you have also had your ups and downs. And every human is kind of blessed with a fighting spirit, right? But most of us, and I think it happens with all of us, there are moments in life when we are like, you know what, I think I have fought enough, now I can't do anymore, let's just give up and let's accept whatever it is. Has it ever happened with you, and how did you deal with that?
You know, when I was in school, I was in boarding school called Mayo. I was short. I was only 5'2". I was very short for my class. I was one of the shortest boys in my class. I hadn't sprung up in my height yet. I was very light. I was 48 or 49 kilos. And I wanted to be a boxer. And everybody laughed. And they said, come on man, you don't have height, you don't have, you know, weight, strength, physique, कुछ नहीं है, इतना पतला सा, दुबला सा, छोटा सा है, तू क्या boxing कर लेगा? And I wanted to be a boxer because there were kids who were stronger than me, bigger than me, who bullied me. And I wanted to be able to fight back. I wanted to channel that frustration and anger and ability to defend myself. And I went to my coach, Bajwa sir, who was an ex-armed forces man, and he said, I'll train you. And when he trained me such that I ended up not only boxing in my school, but boxing for my school, then going to the state level, then even competing at the nationals. And in life, I've learned that it's only you that can decide whether you give up or you succeed. As long as you don't give up, you're still in the fight. The game is not over. See, life will knock you down. People will knock you down. Bullies will knock you down. That is going to happen in everybody's life. मेरे साथ हुआ, बच्चों के साथ होगा, आपके साथ हुआ है. It will happen to everybody. You only lose. You don't lose when you fall. You only lose when you refuse to get up again. As long as you keep falling and getting up, you're still a winner. You're still fighting. You're still in the game. The game is not over. That's what I believe in. Even when I used to box at that time, because I had so many handicaps of being so small, my reach of my arm was smaller, boys who were taller had longer reach, I changed my game. I tried to use my mind. I tried to strategize differently. And I think that's what I learned in the ring, of leaving fear out, of being fearless. That prepared me for life.
How did your dad react to your success?
For me, all of it goes back to one moment. When I won my first award for company, and I was up there being nominated with all the big names. And when I was on stage and I was doing my acknowledgement speech and I thanked my father, I just saw him there from stage crying, tears of joy. I have won more than 45, maybe 50 awards that I'm very proud of, and I'm very blessed to have won. That acknowledgement and recognition has been very dear to me. I respect that. But no award matches to those tears. That pride in my father's eyes was greater to me than any award, because he knew how I'd done it. He knew I had the easy way out. He knew I could have said, Dad, make it for me. मेरे लिए पिक्चर बनाओ, मुझे लॉन्च करो. He knew that this boy took the time, struggled, built this, made it on his own merit, on his talent. And he respected me for that. He still respects me for it. He still says, यार तू 15 साल की उम्र से एक रुपया नहीं लिया मुझसे. I've never taken a penny from him since the age of 15. I've survived on my own independence.
What did you do at the age of 15 to earn money?
I started with, when I just came back from Mayo after 10th, I joined 11th in Mumbai, in Mitibai. And my dad used to give me a pocket money of 500 rupees. And I went out on my first date, and all 500 got spent. 300 was for the entry to this social event. We used to have socials back then where the date would wear a salwar kurta from home and then switch to a mini skirt in college, ladies' room, and then would go out with you for the social, and we would party. And so by the end of the social, she was hungry. We had already paid $300 for entry. पतली सी दिखती थी, लेकिन पता नहीं 300 रुपए के कूपन कहाँ से चट कर गई. And then she was still hungry, and she was like, I want to eat. So I said, okay. I had $200 left for my month, पूरे महीने का. And she was looking at the left side of the menu, and I was looking at the right side of the menu. And as soon as she ordered, I knew कि मेरा 180 या 190 रुपए गया बाकी का. So she asked me, you're not eating anything? I said, मेरे को भूख नहीं है. I'm not hungry. I'm fine. You eat. So she ate. I didn't even have money to go back home in a rickshaw, literally, right? So that day I went up to my dad and I said, ऐसे नहीं चलेगा, and 500 is too little. And he said, if you want to spend like that, you have to earn your own money. And that bothered me. And I said, ठीक है, आज के बाद I'll earn my own money. I said, नहीं चाहिए आपके पैसे, ये 500 भी आप रखो. And बोलना easy था, करना मुश्किल. But then I realized what I have. I have the ability to, like, there was somebody doing a show, a talent show, contest. They wanted a host. Last minute जो professional host था, वो back out कर गया. They asked me and I said, हाँ मैंने बड़े shows host किए हैं, एक भी नहीं किया था. But confidently, I said, I've done it many times before. I said, okay. And luckily for me, I was good at it. I ended up hosting it really well. And he said, look, at the end of the show, he said, you did a great job. I'm going to give you more work. But look, for this one, I can't give you full payment. I'm going to give you 50%. And I was like, ठीक है, what is 50%? And he gave me 2,500 in cash.
Wow.
I was like, कहाँ 500 रुपए महीना? और ये 2-3 घंटे के काम के लिए I made $2,500. I felt like a king. First thing I did was went to the canteen and splurged on my friends. I started doing shows, then I started doing radio plays, then I started becoming a voicing artist. All the English shows that would come to India, Bold and the Beautiful, Santa Barbara, Young and the Restless, Small Wonder, the kids show, the Disney Hour. I stood up all these in Hindi.
Really?
Yeah. And then I used to
don't
dub.
think so anybody would know this.
I was a dubbing artist. I was actually a very successful dubbing artist because by the time I was in 12th, I was making 40,000-50,000 rupees a month, which was crazy because I said no to the 500. I made that. Otherwise, I would have never put myself out there to go out there and learn and to grow.
That also shows that you're also a very street smart person. I think that's why you're such a successful businessman as well.
In a way, yes, but I do believe that, no pain, no gain, no risk, no reward. You need to put yourself out there. If you stay in your security blanket all the time, you're not going to succeed. And everything that you look at as a failure in life, everything that you look at as a loss, if you really work at it, if you convert that obstacle into an advantage, if you convert that handicap into a novel approach and turn around and say, "Ki, theek hai, mera ye problem hai." Like what I learned when I was boxing. Because I was short, I realized that I can run, I can dodge, I can tire the opponent out and then wait for my moment and then have the knockout punch. So same way I used to strategize differently. This way also, life changed, and then I ended up doing really, really well for myself. I set up my own business by the time I was 19. I had my first startup and first successful exit by the time I was 22. So life taught me a lot of things.
Let's talk about your wife. You were lovingly talking about her off camera also. You met in an arranged marriage setup, and at that time you were not even ready to get married. You were like literally against the idea of marriage.
Totally.
Were you cynical about love at that point of time?
Yes, to be honest with you, yes. I think my outlook to love had changed because I'm somebody who's very sincere. I give 100% to anything. My work, my relationships, my friendships. I'm always there for people. When I stand by somebody, I stand by them no matter what the price, no matter what it costs me. I don't have a conviction of convenience. कि अभी convenient है तो conviction है, नहीं है तो नहीं. If I commit, I commit. So my experience in love at that point was one where I felt very let down. I felt undervalued. I felt that what I had done and what I had given in my relationship versus just the respect, just the acknowledgement of that was missing. And that made me very cynical and bitter. So I didn't want to be in love with anybody anymore. I just wanted to have flings, just wanted to be in a casual story. And I went down that path. I explored that path, and the more the girls I dated, the more lonely I felt.
It wasn't fulfilling at all.
It was the most unfulfilling experience. I mean, I ticked every box, names, models, pageant queens, whatever the boxes were that I thought would make me feel good about myself. But it wasn't real. I wasn't real. And when I met Priyanka for the first time, I met her for a formality, to stop my mom from setting me up. Yaar, mom, ab pareshan kar rahi hai. I said, okay, I'm going to see this girl, but this is the last and final one now. You won't try and hook me up or set me up. And I went and I met her, and for the first time I saw somebody who had no mask, no makeup. Just her. Remember, her hair was just loosely tied in a. I still remember it like yesterday, with one of those sticks, baal mein jo stick dalte hain. She just tied up her hair like that with a stick in the hair. She was wearing a little simple linen white top, white pants and chappals, flats. And she just walked in and said hi. I just looked at her and said, wow, she's so confident and refreshing and so real. And yeah, मैं बंधन के आया हुआ था, shoes, designer clothes and jackets सब डाल वाल के and all. And when I saw her and I had a conversation with her, I remember one thing about our conversation. We were chatting and I was talking to her about something, and very structured approach. A guy actually eventually is a guy, so he'll try to शादी नहीं करनी है तो भी impress तो होना चाहिए, kind of a story. And she was attractive, she was beautiful. So when I started talking to her, and she just looked at me and she said, "Are you always like this?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Can't you just be?" So I was just shocked. I said, what do you mean just be? She said, just be yourself. There's nobody watching, there are no cameras here. And I was silent, I think, for the next 20 minutes, just observing what she said. I said, yeah, why am I in that zone? Why am I playing the game? I'm not here to play a game. She's not here to play the game. But I was so used to playing the games. So I had to kind of just get that out of my mind. The second thing I remember, I said, she said, so tell me who you are. I said, I'm an actor. She said, no, that's what you do. Tell me who you are. Those two questions changed the way I looked at myself.
It sounds like a romantic film.
It's our romantic film.
Yeah.
That moment, I knew. I remember I was supposed to fly out that night. I missed my flight. Because we were just chatting. I was just in conversation with this girl. I just didn't want to say bye. And I missed my flight. Next morning, I called up my mom and I said, you were right. And this girl is amazing. She said, so now? So I said, nothing. I'm just going to go to her. And I went to meet her. She didn't expect me. She thought कि अब ये चला जाएगा बम्बई, formality की meeting तो हो गई. I went next morning to her and I said, I just want to say one thing to you. She said, what? She said, I said, see, you're a lady. It's your prerogative to decide who you want to marry, who you don't want to marry. I respect that. I'm just here to tell you that I've decided. If I ever get married in life, I'm marrying you, otherwise I'm never getting married.
Wow.
Rest is up to you, you decide. And I walked away. So it was quite funny.
Yeah, of course, she was real. That's what attracted you to her. But what were the other things that she did that healed you and made you a positive person again when it comes to love?
I think so much came from just the security. You know, we made pacts when we got married that whatever work is, whatever that world is that I'm so consumed by outside, the fights, the constant struggles, the journeys, that I'll leave that outside the door. And she made our home the sanctuary. She, like I said earlier, you know, women hold a family together. She just kept my family together so beautifully. My mom, my dad, myself, my sister. She just, you know, she was such an important part of that glue and that created such a happy environment at home. When I'd come home, I would just forget about everything. And it makes a big difference when you come home and you feel like a winner. When you come home and you feel like life is good, everything's worth it. It's a beautiful feeling. You wake up fresh the next morning and say, okay, I'm ready for battle again. And that's what she provides even today. Even today, I mean, our relationship over 11 years is matured, where I take a lot of counsel from her. I take a lot of advice sometimes. I say, what do you think I should do about this? Or what do you think? And that maturity's come, and we've grown even as parents. You know, we've had discussions, thoughts, very careful thoughts of how we want to nurture our children. You know, how we want to bring them up, what values we want to bring. We don't talk much about how हमारे लिए वो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि वसीयत में क्या देना है बच्चों को. You know, it's not about materialistic things that we want to give our children. We're blessed with enough. What's important for us is the values. That's what is going to make their lives. Yeah. The building blocks of who they are.
Absolutely. So what are your goals now in life?
I'm really living my goals. So my fundamental pillars are constant personal evolution, right? Kaizen is a beautiful Japanese word, constant improvement. So I constantly wake up every day and say, how do I be better today? You know, every day in every way, I want to be better and better. That's my mantra. I think business-wise, by the grace of God, I've done very, very well and continue to do so. The impact, social impact, for-profit companies that I'm part of, have invested in, have mentored. Many of them are now unicorns, right? Hopefully will be unicorns in the coming year or two. So very happy about that, very blessed. And with the acting career, there's been a fantastic resurgence, and I'm ever so grateful for that. This year, strangely, my 20th year will be my busiest year of all. I'm doing 7 projects back to back, and I'm enjoying it. There's no complaints.
Thank you so much for talking to us, and all the best for your future.
My pleasure, Sakshi. Thank you so much. Hey everybody, this is Vivek Oberoi, and if you like this interview, please like, share and subscribe to Pinkvilla.